Hey everybody. I hope everybody had a real good 4th of July. I know it's still early for a lot of people. It's only about 7:30 my time. So the fireworks haven't really started here but they probably will soon. But since I've seen a lot of fireworks in my life, I decided to do something else, like go on air and talk about some of the situations that's going on between Matt Power and Scholar Fiction. I'm calling this Remunerations and Condemnations. However, it's a little bit of a stretch because I'm not going to sit here and condemn Matt Powell on this particular video, but I do want to get some things off my chest because, well, I've been kind of weighing on me. So I open this up. It's an open hangout. The link to join is on my Facebook page, but only shown to my friends. So if you're public or you're a troll, you won't be able to get it. And in some closed groups, and you guys know which groups those are in. So you can get in that way. You can message me or message Clockwork or anybody here. We'll allow you to come in. However, this is not to bash on anybody in particular. This is not to bash on Matt Powell. It's just to talk about the dialogue that I've had with Matt in the last week or two, which I've asked Matt if I could, and share it with you guys because some of the things he's done is inconsistent with his public personage. And of course, I want to talk about the Scholar Fiction situation. And I got to say, I'm so happy that Scholar Fiction's channel got the strike removed. So if you guys don't know, his video was reinstated. His strike is removed. And this was because of the grassroots effort from not just the Great Debate community, but the entire YouTube community, the skeptic communities, all these different little communities that banded together and went on Twitter, went on Reddit. He had 22,000, I think, upvotes on Reddit, and people noticed. The Friendly Atheist noticed. A couple of people from other blogs noticed. The Daily, I don't remember the name, but they noticed. And of course, Richard Dawkins even noticed and tweeted it out. And that to me shows you the power that the collective has for this type of things when you need to fight for what's right. And them taking down Skylar's channel, or well, giving a strike and taking down that video was not right. It was not right by any stretch of imagination. He was not promoting hate speech. He was obviously clearly condemning hate speech. And the only way you can do that is by showing the speech that you're there to criticize. So you should know they messed up. And a matter of fact, the other day when I was on Twitter, I tagged YouTube creators, and a few other things on YouTube. And then I tweeted that out and I put it on my Facebook, and that got a lot of retweets. But of course, it really wasn't until a big player like the Friendly Atheist got a hold of it and ran with it. But I got to tell you, whether you're a small player or big player, everybody has an effect. This was a grassroots effort. I told Skylar, don't give up hope. Fight. I think this is something worth fighting for. This is a free speech issue, and I am just really proud and amazed at the power of the community because we got something done. Uh, Individually and as a collective, we all worked together and said, this is not right. Whether you like Skylar, whether you hate Skylar, whether you like his videos, whether you don't, it doesn't matter. This was an issue of free speech, and this was an issue of being able to criticize somebody for their speech on YouTube. And if content creators lose that ability, that is a huge blow to, I think, what YouTube originally was for when people would make a video and then people would make response videos. It's always been like that. And in this particular case, the response was towards blatant hate speech. Now, I'm not going to get into what the hate speech was. I don't want to get on down that route. But I do want to talk to you about what I've had discussions with Matt and why I think he's somebody that should be shunned and should not be given attention to. And this is the main crux of this particular hangout. And again, if you want in, the link to join is on my Facebook page. Just go get it and come on in. But this is what's been weighing on me. I love the fact that this got attention, and I think it's wonderful that Skylar got like 400 subs out of this or something, and that's awesome. I think that any kind of good attention is great. I think that positive attention is fine, and I think that the fact that Skylar's channel got noticed for his interview with Matt, wonderful. The downside is the fact that this is giving Matt attention. And the fact that even like Richard Dawkins, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he's a well-known person, it got to that high level to notice who Matt Powell is. And it's a shame when somebody who only claim to fame or any notoriety. It's just notoriety. It's just the fact that you'd said something so controversial and so goddamn stupid that people took notice. That's your name recognition. What are you known for? Well, I'm known for saying stupid shit on the internet. Now, that's something that I don't think any one of us would like to be known for. For people like him, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care. He absolutely doesn't freaking care. And I actually believed him at one time. I actually said to myself, this guy, maybe he can learn. Maybe he can push past this narrative that he has. Maybe he can be honest. And I even said on the non sequitur show, that I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. And I can tell you right now, I am no longer giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll explain why. A couple reasons. First of all, he put up a video, and I can't remember the name of the other pastor that he put it up on. It wasn't Stephen Anderson. Could have been Ben. I'm not sure. But one of the things he had put on there, or they said on there, was that, quote, okay, paraphrase quote, but that scientists use carbon dating to date the age of the Earth, and that's the evidence they use for the age of the Earth being billions of years old. Now, anybody who knows about carbon dating knows that the effective range of carbon dating is about 50,000 years, give or take. I mean, you can get up to about 80 or 90, but effectively, just for all practical purposes, for a very inexpensive test, would be about 57,000 years. And I had written on that particular video a very extensive, from a physics standpoint. I actually showed him how to do the math and how to do a simple differential. Well, it wasn't a differential, it was a derivative equation, but basically a time rate of change equation for figuring out how to figure how much would be left after a certain amount of time for nuclear decay. He hid that. He didn't let that be shown. And I was like, wait a minute here. Here's a guy that's promoting honesty, and yet he's filtering his comments. So don't get me wrong. I don't mind people filtering and eliminating trollish comments. We all do that. You have no choice, especially when and I'm noticing as our channels get more popular, there are certain comments that are not appropriate. If anything, any kind of racial comment, anything like that, you're done. I don't even message you. I just eliminate you. You're off my channel. There's no discussion on it, right? Because it's just nothing I allow. But when somebody criticizes, that's a completely different story. Matter of fact, on the non sequitur show, most of the pins that we do are the criticisms because we think they're hilarious. They're funny. They're great. Don't mind that. But this was a very, very well thought out, I thought, criticism. General Han Solo read it. He's a physicist. He checked the math and everything, said it looked all good. But that was just the first step. Then I started getting emails from Matt. And I'm not going to read the emails verbatim, even though he doesn't care. And he said I can talk about this. Like I said, people that send me stuff in private, obviously it's private communication. But, he said this is fine. And I think the only reason he does say that because he wants attention, even negative. So when I say that these emails, I don't believe him. I'm going to tell you why. He would say things like, I want to learn. I really respect you, Steve. And that might be true. But here's the thing you can't get past. And he'll name something like in physics, and I'll explain to him why he's wrong. Okay. But then he'll go on public and he'll say some derogatory comment using a homosexual slur on Twitter or something. And I'm like, this is not you wanting to learn something. This is not you wanting to change your behavior. This is you behind the scenes saying one thing and then going in public and saying another. And again, I don't usually get into those things. You don't really hear me ever talk about the drama because it's not my thing. And I never single out anybody. I never have really. I never will, except for the Clown Car Posse. Those I'll talk about. But Matt is not part of our group. He's not part of the GDC. He's not part of the extended GDC. He's not ex-GDC. He's not relevant in the GDC. And even in the secular thing, he's not relevant. But the reason I'm especially calling him out is the fact that the amount of vitriolic hate from this person, the amount of bigotry, the amount of condemnation he has had for other people, I just feel very uncomfortable having anything to do with this guy. We will not allow him on the non sequitur show. I will not allow him on my channel. And I'm really kind of bummed out the fact that he has gotten publicity for the mere fact that YouTube took down Skylar's video, which was so inappropriate. that's the society we live in. That if you are a negative individual and you just basically say stupid shit, you're going to get some popularity. However, his subs haven't gone up that much, so maybe I'm overreacting a little bit. Maybe the side effect, the double-edged sword, is not going to be too huge. But I just want to be on record to say that I am denouncing this person to no end. I think people should just shun the shit out of him. And again, that's just my personal thing. And it's not like he's saying things that I disagree with. It's not like he's promoting young earth creationism. So I'm saying, oh, that's bad. I've always been against young earth creationism. That's nothing new. But I have never spoken out against vitriolic bitterness, bigotry, and things like racism, and in this case, homophobia, that often. And in this particular case, I think I need to, because I am sick of his shit. When he when he went out of his way to call who was it? Who do I'm not going to say the word he used, but he asked if they were basically gay. And he privately messaged me, and again, I asked him if I could talk about this. And he's like, "Well, I didn't think that word was any big deal." And I'm like, "You used a pejorative toward homosexuals, and you don't think it's a big deal. You're either blatantly dishonest, or you're just a shitbag, or both. But either way, I don't want to deal with those people. I don't want to spend my time educating you on certain things that you're naive of if I think you're a piece of shit, because you don't deserve that much attention. That's it." So I had talked to Skylar. Skylar's in the live chat. He said he will be home about 8, but he's has to get up early. But I gave him a link anyway so he can come in, because I didn't want Skylar to come in. He said he would if he could, but I thought that he said he has to get up early tomorrow, so I did this anyways. But if you can come in, that's great, Skylar. So anyways, I'm going to open up to you guys. I know I got red, both two reds in here, frustrated and clockwork. But again, I'm not trying to blow this out of proportion, but it is really freaking frustrating that this guy has gotten so much attention for doing nothing more than being a fucking piece of shit. It's just mind-boggling when you have Skylar, who calls him out and denounces him, and his video is the one that gets flagged. I have no words for it. I mean, granted, it's great that his video got put back, and that was the goal. And again, I'm so proud of every single person, whether you tweeted something, whether you retweeted something, whether you put something on Facebook, anybody who made a comment about this situation, how unjust it was. I'm very proud of you. And it goes to show you how powerful a collective could be of similar mindsets when you are trying to promote the right thing. So props to you guys on that. But going forward, I'm just not going to be dealing with this guy, except to maybe oh shit, I just saw that, Reds, by the way. But you found the link. But anyways, what say you guys? I kind of did my little rant. I could kind of go into more detail with some of the mails he sent me, but you kind of get the idea that he's just a little two-faced,
Yeah, I saw that bullshit going on with Skylar's video getting taken down, and I was like saying, well, this is just another example of YouTube completely screwing the pooch on this one. But luckily that they were able to reinstate the video, because I was actually going to be a little bit hesitant about certain people that I was going to have on my channel in the next few weeks, because if that can happen, then I don't want that to happen to me. And so that would limit free speech like you wouldn't be able to imagine, because people would be scared to completely screw over their YouTube channels for having a freaking conversation where you literally have both sides of the argument, those that think horrible, deplorable nonsense, and those that are trying to say that those people are pieces of shit for believing in horrible, deplorable nonsense. So,
exactly.
So like, if that's the state that YouTube is going to be in, then welcome to North Korea, I guess. I mean,
and I said the exact same thing. Granted, like I said, YouTube has reversed it, and they have restated Skylar's video. But I said the same thing. I'm like, how do you denounce something without bringing it to people's attention? Every documentary that dealt with World War II, anything that dealt with any kind of KKK, or just dealing with racism in general, or anything, without showing what you're criticizing, then it has no context. right? But I think YouTube's algorithm probably sucks. Don't get me wrong, but this was manually reviewed. This is what bothers me. I get that it could have been struck and inappropriately flagged because of an algorithm. Fine, that shit happens. But somebody had actually manually viewed this when he fought it.
I
Now,
don't think.
I want to know who that person was and how they come to the sensible conclusion that it was in any way hate speech coming from the video. I mean, rather than the condemnation of it.
Well, you got to keep in mind that if you're only watching bits and pieces of this thing, then it's very easy to come to the conclusion that this was just a hate-filled video. Which, for the people reviewing this hangout, I mean, how long is this hangout? Well over an hour. And so, if they need to sit down and actually watch this damn thing, I think they do what we all do at times, and that's skip through the video trying to get a brief synopsis of what the fuck is going on. But doing it that way allows one to miss a shitload of things. And because there was such an uproar about it, I'm guessing that they decided to take another hard look, this time watch the video in full to get the full fucking context this time. And then they're like, oh shit, we fucked up. Let's go ahead and fix this issue. Yeah, I honestly think that's what's happened.
No, I think that's a very viable situation. Absolutely. And you're probably right.
So
yeah.
My thing is that if I was to make one big update to YouTube, I would basically make it so that every employee that works for YouTube who actually reviews this has like a number. Like, this has been reviewed by employee insert number here, and employee insert number here has decided that this video is full of hate speech and we're going to take this fucking bullshit down. That way there's some accountability for this shit. That's just my personal opinion, because then we'll know who the fuck to blame. It's one thing to kind of skim through it and get a brief enough synopsis where you're going to make it not hate speech, but the very moment you take someone's video down, you better be damn fucking sure that it's justified. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's somewhere to trace it. But what would have happened if Skylar didn't have the friends that he did, the power that he didn't? I don't think he even realized how much power he had, because we were all getting involved. I mean, there was a shit ton of people involved in this.
Yeah.
And we are lucky in that case because we have a tight community that has connections. Let's be realistic. We have connections. And I think this was a perfect time to have those connections utilized.
Yeah, well, I do know that when my video was taken down by TE, it made the problem infinitely worse for him, because everybody and their fucking grandmother decided to mirror the damn thing. And so that's where our community comes in, and that's why I like our community, because when we recognize bullshit, whether you agree with the message or not, we understand the concept of free speech. And in understanding that concept, we are willing to do whatever it is we can, internet-wise, to defend it. And so I was more than happy to say, hey, Skylar, did you download that Hangout? Because if so, I'll mirror it on my channel, and I'll get even more traffic. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and the douchebag never returned my call. You see, you hear me, Skylar? Answer your fucking phone. I understand it's an iPhone, but come on, it can work at least in that respect.
I've had some people. There's a person that messaged on one of the other forums that said, and in the live chat just brought up, that people have lost their channels just by talking about Skylar's video, and I guess they played it. We're not playing his video, so we're just discussing. Yeah. And clearly, we're not in any way advocating any hate speech. I'm not even dissing on Matt. I just have lost all respect for him. I don't want him around. I never really had much respect to begin with, obviously, but I really thought that a lot of this was just bravado. I really thought he just was putting on a show. But I just think he's duplicitous, and I don't think that anybody who promotes that kind of vitriolic hate needs to be around. I wouldn't have a KKK member around either. I wouldn't have a neo-Nazi around. I just don't like that around my channel, and I don't think that most people do. Most rational people.
Well, yeah. But look, if you look at the drop down of YouTube when you're uploading a new video, they have a section there for like activism. Well, how am I supposed to fight against a shitty idea without bringing attention to the shitty idea, or even having a conversation with a person that holds a shitty idea? It's like, if you have a subsection on YouTube for activism allow me to actually do said activism, especially when my activism is fighting against hate speech, not promoting it. I remember this one dude, you know, there was this big ban on YouTube saying, hey, anyone that talks about this tragic event will have their videos removed. One guy just did a video talking about it, and not just talking about, but having a fundraiser for the victims of such an event, and YouTube still took it down. Even though it wasn't promoting the event, it was trying to get help for the people that were actually affected by the event. And for the sake of your channel, Steve, I'm not going to go into detail on what the event was, because God forbid YouTube fucking takes your fucking shit down. But just goes to show they need to be a little bit more careful on when they decide to smack down Thor's hammer on people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of
the
big
stats video.
One of the things that I know that I knew a little bit of Matt Powell whenever Skylar's thing came out, but the very second I saw him say what he did say, if I had any respect for him at all, then the very second he said that, I was like, yeah, nope, none of that. And people who do say these things, they expect. I don't want to say it's just religious, but right now it mainly is. They say all these different hateful things, and then when people call them out on their shit, all of a sudden, oh, you're infringing on my free speech. It's like, no. You can say all the stupid shit you want, but freedom of speech does not mean freedom of repercussions. And
Absolutely.
they don't understand that.
Yeah, no, okay. This is the way I look at this. Again, I am a very strong free speech advocate. Okay. However, even I recognize there are certain limitations. Hate speech, I'm sorry, is certain forms of hate speech is not, I don't think should be covered under free speech. Mostly, especially if there's violence involved. I think what he advocated was violence. I think that if you advocate for, and I don't want to go into a position because again, I'm really touchy with YouTube's weird way of looking at things right now. So I don't want to get into the details of what this guy actually believes, but I think that kind of hate speech isn't covered. That is something that YouTube should go, you know what? Yeah, you know what? You can't be saying that on our platform. I totally agree with that. If you advocate for the genocide of a race, you got to go or something, that's not free speech. It's just not. That is advocating a violent position. Now, if you just say, hey, look I don't like such and such group or whatever, okay, you might be a dick, but that is covered, right? Big difference. So I definitely don't want to limit anybody's free speech, but here's a guy that when I went to, okay, let me tell you a little story. Late at night, I will go try to find people for guests for the Non Sequitur show. Like I found that it was Inspiring or whatever guy, the tarot card guy.
Okay, yeah.
Guy. Yeah, and nice guy. Don't agree with anything he said. Think it's all nonsense, but whatever. But bunch of woo woo, and I found another group that I had recognized that these were the ones that actually had booted out General Han Solo at one time. And say what you want about General Han Solo, he's a good guy. May not agree with him, people may not agree with him, but he is a sincere guy. He's not a liar. He's not dishonest. He's not disreputable, and he's intelligent. And they decided he wasn't their right kind of Christian because it was a Christian group. Well, Matt Powell was in that group at the time, and he was one of the ones that got him removed. I saw this group, and one of the people in there, her name was Amanda, very nice woman. I said, how do you support? I want to know, how do you support? And by the way, Sarah, I gave you the link to get in like 3 different ways. So come on in if you want, Sarah. How do you? What's that? Hey, Sarah. How do you?
How's it going?
Awesome. I said, how do you support somebody who advocates this position? And again, I'm not going into the details about the position, but how do you support that? I mean, you're supposed to be Christians, right? I mean, how's that a Christian really perspective? And they said, well, how do you know that he thinks that way? I'm like, oh,
he
really?
said it.
I was like, let me show you. So I showed them the all the documentation, all the videos, and so they're like, wow, we really didn't know that. So I know he was getting backlash from his own group because none of them knew he held that position. and I thought it was that they should know these things because this is the person he's supporting. Now, again, I am one of the last people to involve myself in any drama. You guys know this, but this is one of those rare exceptions where I think it's appropriate to stand up and say enough. Stand up and say, we do not want bigotry, we do not want homophobia, we do not want racism. And what's funny is I am not even a social justice warrior. I'm not an advocate for anything like that. I'm against social justice warriors for the most part. But this is one time, it's just, what is the right thing, And so I think he's being kind of extricated from his own people, his own group, because even Christians are looking at him going, no, you're not one of us. You are too radicalized even for us. And I don't think he has a position to where to go now, because his channels aren't getting the attention he's wanting. Even though, like I said, there's huge publicity. If you look at his numbers, they haven't moved. I mean, like I said, Skylar got like 400 subs out of it. I think Matt got like, I don't know, just not very many. It wasn't very many when I looked. Mike says, I'm surprised Matt's channel hasn't been flagged. I am too. But I'm not one of those people who are going around saying, hey, flag a channel. I would never do that. And I don't think flagging a channel is always the best thing to do unless there's some really egregious reason. I mean, if there's blatant TOS, I've flagged a channel for like abuse on animals before. But just because, Matt's a horrible person, I personally wouldn't go flag his channel. No. But anyway, Cyrus, you made a video on this today. I didn't get a chance to see it yet, but if you want to talk about it real quick and then tell me what you're going to have to say on it.
Sure. Well, the quick summary is that there were two free speech issues going on right now. One of them is that the ARC encounter protest is happening on Saturday, and the issue happened with Skylar. So I wanted to point out that the only reason that we can even have protests when we see ideas that we think are bad, and Steve, you and I both agree that young Earth creationism is a dangerous idea.
Yes.
The only reason that we're able to protest bad ideas like this is because those bad ideas are in the spotlight to protest. The minute that you remove the ability to put a spotlight on bad ideas, which is what Skylar did in his video and his stream with Matt, all he did was expose what Matt thought. The minute you lose the ability to expose a bad idea, you can't even start having your protests. You can't start having any type of message get across to people who do have those bad ideas. You let those bad ideas fester when you lose the ability to expose them. And that was kind of the big thing I wanted to say in the video, was that you have to challenge ideas if you think they're bad. And sometimes part of challenging them, you can't point out a bad idea, like Matt's, without also showcasing the idea. And you can't say, oh, you have hate speech in your video because you're showcasing hate speech to call it out. Those are not the same thing.
Yeah, exactly it. Look, how am I supposed to denounce something if I can't tell people what I'm actually denouncing, right? And here's who's presenting? Okay, no, am I presenting? No. All right, hey, no, Skylar, how was your work?
Yeah, kind of sucked. Too much stuff going on. I didn't want to pay attention to it.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I don't blame
you. It was really, really hard. I was on my phone almost all day.
Yeah, no, I mean, people want to know about this stuff. And like I said, let me just go on record to say that I am so thankful that this shit got taken care of. Why are you presenting? What am I doing?
Everyone wants to look at my pretty face, maybe? I don't know.
I got you taken care of. I got you taken care of.
But like I said, the fact that everybody banded together for this, to me, shows that when something is this egregious, everybody can work together and make a difference. I mean, I am impressed at the amount of power the collective has, and that's just not like one group. That's multiple groups that from different sides of the fence and different beliefs, all going, "Hey, this is wrong." Because look how many likes. I mean, it got retweeted like 900 times, dude, and like 3,000 likes.
Oh, and don't forget about Reddit, man. Reddit had I think it was higher. I think it got up to 24,000 upvotes. So it was like huge on our atheism. I mean, it was crazy. It was unbelievable the amount of support that I had, which is, just thank you to everybody. It was I can't even believe it. I'm surprised the video got put back up. I thought after I appealed it, that was it. I was never gonna. I was like, my channel was screwed. I'm never gonna see that video again. And
Well,
I mean, shit. Richard Dawkins retweeted the fucking faith. Is it Pathos?
yeah. It's
Website.
a good thing that happened, because that definitely got a lot of traction. And the one thing that I was going to do when I called you and you inconvenient to yourself didn't call me back.
When did you call me? Did you leave a voicemail or you text me?
I gave you a phone call. I know, I understand you own a shitty iPhone, so I forgive you this time.
Reg, you gotta
The problem is I never answer my phone because of.
I
have a question.
Look. All I'm saying is, before we continue, I got two things I need to say. The first thing was that, Skylar, if your channel were to go down for any reason, myself and my 16,000 subscribers are at your disposal to have whatever fucking hangout you want, because that was bullshit what YouTube decided to do to you, because you weren't promoting the bad idea, you were exposing the bad idea, and that should not be infringed on, in my opinion. So in that, I was going to say, hey, Skylar, just so you know, my channel is your channel when it comes to this shit. If you want to go ahead and have another hangout about it, be my guest. Let's do this.
I offered my channel before his video got put up. So
there you go. There you go. But hang on, the second thing I wanted to say, just real quick, Team Android represent, by the way, we'll bathe in the blood of our enemies. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, and Reg, the reason why you can't get a hold of Skylar is because now he's so large and huge and big head. You have to contact his secretary.
Small fries, guys. Small potatoes. Yeah.
I have a question though.
Yeah, what's up, Nelson?
Because like, if you look at Skylar's video in the comments, you'll see people who are saying, "Yeah, right on. That's what I believe." Yeah.
Yes.
So is he in a way promoting that? You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, are they agreeing with Matt?
Yeah.
No, how is Skylar? How in God's name would Skylar be promoting that by showing people what this other guy believes and then denouncing it?
Hold on, let me explain how this works. So, bad ideas have this terrible thing about them where they have the ability to fester. If you push somebody into a corner who has the bad idea, the only other people who will be in their corner are the people who are going to reinforce their echo chamber and make that bad idea worse. So for this particular individual, the bad idea was particularly heinous. I'm not going to say what it is because this is Steve's channel, not mine. But with that particular bad idea, sometimes when you expose, you do get the people who agree with that rhetoric to come out of the woodworks and expose themselves. So there is that little bit of negative where you get people going, oh, this person thinks like me. Awesome. You get a little bit of negative, but the positive of exposing that bad idea far outweighs the negative. And in some ways, those people coming out of the woodworks, those people showing that they are bigots, even them saying that they agree with Matt in the video, sometimes that is actually also a positive because now you've exposed further bigotry.
Yeah, and you make a good point. And this is the way I look at this. And I hope people kind of understand my point in this. Even though this is a double-edged sword, and before Skylar got here, I was mentioning that, look, this is great that you got publicity out of this. I am thrilled to death. And, anybody that I support gets publicity. That's great. And you got like 400 subs out of it, and it's well-earned. But the downside is, and it's a fact of life, that Matt Powell also got publicity. That bugs the shit out of me. However, I have to weigh what is the overall net good. And the overall net good is that even though Matt is getting some publicity out of it, the bigger publicity is the fact that people are being aware of somebody with this amount of vile and exposing that. That I think is a bigger issue.
So what's the trade-off between awareness versus brainwashing?
Well, how can you fight a bad idea if nobody knows the bad idea is there?
Yeah,
that's
kind of the net takeaway. There is a point. Sometimes you can denounce the person, like what Skylar did, say, hey, you have a bad idea, and that bad idea will get people hurt. That's not necessarily brainwashing. And not to mention, having somebody who is exposing that in the way that Skylar did counters the brainwashing that happens when you have churches like, say, Anderson's. In that church, you are taught bigotry of a very high caliber. If you have somebody who's exposing that bigotry, though, that shows a second source a second side of that coin, and it can prevent people from being stuck in that narrow funnel. If you've got somebody on the other end, however, who thinks that atheism or whatever is also brainwashing, then they have the ability to see two sides of a coin as well. And at this point, you can get people to judge for themselves. But you have to show both sides of the coin in both cases.
Yeah, and just to say a couple things real quick about this whole situation. First, I would say that, just to let everybody know, I didn't know what Matt Powell's views were before he came on my channel. I had simply just seen the video with him talking about atheists and video games. I was like, this guy would be entertaining to have on my channel. So that's why I invited him. And if you watch the conversation with Matt Powell, you'll see the shock that I'm in when he actually says what he says. Like, I literally am thrown back. I don't really know even how to react to it to a certain degree. And so it was a total surprise. And, you know, my rationale is when you deal with people like this, because it's real easy just to be mean at that point and just to be like, you're stupid. This is a dumb idea, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And it's surely not going to change his mind about anything. In fact, it's just going to reinforce his ideas, because these guys take this victimization from being Christians as if they're persecuted all the time. So, like, I try to stay away from the persecution when I can, but I'm fallible, and I've certainly told people to eat a bag of dicks a couple of times. But here's the thing, right? Is like, but when you look at it, so what if you think about what I did in that interview is I took the example of what he wanted done and started applying it to other things. I was like, well, how would the government do this? How would the government do that? How would we regulate this? To try to get his mind thinking like, wait a minute, this isn't possible. Like, we're not going to be able to logistically do this, basically. And to kind of get him to see it's real easy with the gay issue for them, because sometimes they're just like, oh, it's just clearly laid out with gays in the Bible. But you take another thing of some kind of sinful act like disobedient children or adultery, which required the same kind of act to be done to them. And they're not so comfortable saying yes to it, right? They're going to like, oh, well, wait a minute. Let me make a couple of excuses why this may not work, and just try to get to see the parallel. And then the second thing I guess I would say about this whole experience is, it made me even more hate the word hate speech more than anything else. Like, I get it. Like, I don't buy into the whole idea of hate speech. Okay. I think there are things, I don't have a problem with an organization wanting to stop things that incite violence. Like, I don't think people should be able to do that necessarily. Just like the same idea of, yelling fire in a crowded room, those type of analogies or those type of scenarios. But I think the concept of like people telling you their opinions, I think should be open game and should be open for criticism and things like that. I don't know if I would necessarily support a whole channel, or I don't know if I was YouTube, I would allow like a whole channel to dedicate towards motivating people to do violent acts or anything like that. But I think, especially within the context of what we were having a discussion, I don't think there was a problem with it. Please.
One of the things that I hate about the whole entire Matt Powell thing is before he came on your channel, Skylar, he actually was talking with like Bionic Dance and all of them, and she actually asked him, do you believe that I personally should be killed for being a homosexual? And he wasn't man enough to say yes. What he said was, oh, no, I don't. But the Bible says that that's what's supposed to happen, so it should happen.
Yes, he retreats back into that narrative.
Yeah, basically.
And that's probably the worst thing.
I'm not the evil one. Someone else is. It's don't blame me. Blame my book.
It's not me. It's God. And are you going to question God?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's basically just absolving yourself of any moral responsibility and putting it on something else. But here's what bothers me with this. Like for example, Kylo Ken in the live chat. We all know Dr. Rhodes. Love Dr. Rhodes. Great guy. I disagree with some of his theology, but I think he's an awesome dude. I have the most respect for him, the highest respect. Him and General Han Solo. But he just said in the live chat that they have talked to Matt Powell and think that they have convinced him of the error of his ways and expect apology. Well, here's the problem I have with that. Not more than 4 hours ago, and Stuart here can testify to this, that he put a video out, and it was basically oh, I might have said some horrible things, but that's because God says so. But you know what? Richard Dawkins tweeted on it, and he said some really bad shit too. And it's the game of, oh, well, two wrongs don't make a right. And by the way, I think what Dawkins has said about pedophilia was taken out of context, but even if it wasn't, let's say that he actually advocates for the most heinous things. Who cares? It has nothing to do with this situation. Now, I'm not saying I don't think that. Hang on one second. I don't think it's appropriate for people to make certain claims like oh, pedophilia is good. I don't think that's wise, obviously. But even if he did do that, it doesn't remove the moral responsibility that Matt Powell has. And his last video was just do the same thing. Well, you know what he says is way worse than what I said.
It's called
so that makes
whataboutism.
mine better.
Yeah.
By comparison.
Yeah. Whataboutism. Basically, you expose that this person believes some pretty heinous shit. Well, what about them? Right. What about that? What about that person over there?
It's like having a fundraiser for cancer, and you go into the cancer ward, and you never see another person go into the cancer ward and say, "Yeah, cancer's bad, but what about malaria?" Mm-hmm. Like you don't see that, and it's one of those things where I'm exposing the bad idea. The other bad ideas, while they're yes, and people are addressing them, yes, but it doesn't stop making your idea bad. The fact that there are other ideas that might be worse doesn't make your idea good by comparison.
But he's so not remorseful about it. That's the worst part. There is no remorse with that guy, right? He didn't say, "Look,
eviscerate him."
Yeah, he didn't say, "Oh, look, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said it." Even if I believed it, maybe I shouldn't have enunciated it. I don't think that's a great excuse. Don't get me wrong, but there was no kind of apology whatsoever. Matter of fact, let me ask you, Skylar. Did he even bother to go out of his way to say, "Hey, Skylar, it sucks at your channel. I feel really bad"? Did he even try to say anything like that?
No, not a word.
Okay,
yeah, but not even a little bit. I'm surprised he actually didn't message me about anything. What was going on?
And he's been asking all of us to hop on our channels.
Yeah,
he wants. Yeah. Talk about that real quick. Matt wants to be talked about, does he not? He wants people to talk about it, and of course, I'm buying into that right now. So I'm not.
He's addicted to it.
Yeah, I'm not. I understand. There's a double-edged sword here, and God, I hate doing it. Trust me. I don't like giving him attention. We got 150 people watching. A couple thousand people watch this eventually. It bugs the shit out of me that I have to mention this guy's name. But this is one of those really, really rare situations where I think that you have to. I think that you really have to, especially because the amount of fuckery that went on with YouTube in relationship to Skylar's channel needed to be addressed. And so that's the way I'm looking at it. So after this, I want to have nothing to do with the guy. But this is just an exception to the rule that I don't talk about individuals condemning them that much. But for God's sake, I was livid. You don't even know, Scott, how livid I was that your channel got a strike. I was a lot more pissed than you were.
Yeah, I was frustrated. I was more frustrated with the not be able to live stream than I was with the YouTube channel being or the video being taken down. Because that's how I do everything. It's so boring not to live stream now, especially if you're debating. Like you want to have to, it's so much audience interaction to get to debate within the chat and talk. But I was going to say with Matt, I won't be having him on my channel anymore. Like that was it. Like I've gotten everything piece of information I need to know about him.
So you're done. You're done with letting people say gay people should be executed.
Well, I won't know if they're going to say it until they're probably on my channel.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to seek out people necessarily who hold that position just to talk about it on my channel. It's not even that interesting, to be honest with you. It's like I can only go so far with it. All right, yeah, you think you want to do this to gay people? All right, like at that point when you're that extreme, I already know how crazy you are at this point.
That's fucked up. That's just fucked up in itself, right?
Well, yeah, you don't even have to be of the LGBT community to go killing another human being is wrong. Like that's not very hard.
Yeah.
And somehow somebody like Matt does not understand that. Not to mention, he's got the entire freaking I'm just going to wash my hands of this deal, which is really strange to me because that's one of the things that I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't one of the narratives during Jesus's execution that Pilate washing his hands of the sin did not absolve him of the sin. Isn't that the exact same thing? Matt trying to wash his hands by saying, oh, if the government does it, it's okay. Oh, if God does it, it's okay. That doesn't absolve him of it.
Well, he doesn't, because he doesn't think it's a sin. He thinks the government doing the deed, I guess, is just the word of God. It's just God commanding that. So there's no sin involved with that.
And what makes it really worse is the fact that he sits there and says, he doesn't even say that he thinks it's wrong, but God says it. He doesn't even allude to the fact. He's like, oh, it doesn't matter what I think. It's because God
thinks.
Yeah, and that's bizarre too, right? I mean, I again, marginally speaking, right? I would have a little more respect for somebody who says, yeah, I think that's not right, but it's I can't really judge God and his God's rules and laws. But to me, I don't understand it. But he doesn't even say that. He's all for it seems, But
he's too. He's like a young. I know it's like it's easy just to say he's like a young 20-year-old, 2-year-old kid. But the dude was like, he was homeschooled since he was a child. I don't know about you, but I've had some of his family members emailing me about stuff, trying to. They keep like to try to share information about his background. But apparently, and I'm not going to share all that online, but apparently that, from what I understand, he grew up in a super ultra strict conservative household where he was homeschooled and probably basically brainwashed his whole entire life.
AIG is wonderful.
I mean, he's 22 years old. Like, he's a pastor already. And let's not forget, let's point out this really quick, just for everybody out there. The reason this got attention is because he's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, fucking white pastor who seems very polite on the outside, but his views are insane, right? Like, think about other people I've talked to who have said just as crazy as shit as this guy has, but no attention for it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And this guy who's got barely any subscribers, no nothing on his channel, this particular thing just picked up.
Skylar,
looks more ginger to
you
me.
gotta think though. You gotta think though, is his age has nothing to do with it. God just realized that he did not have a reprobate mind.
But I think there's something to be said from his his upbringing and stuff like that, and that's what. And I got that early on. I could tell he was not very well educated.
Yeah.
But that was why, at least, if you guys remember back on the Non Sequitur show when we were talking to him about some stuff, I put myself out there and I said, look, I really want to believe that you are honest about this. I really want to believe that you do not really mean what you're saying. If you guys remember, I said, stop talking, take a second to think about what you're saying, right? Because I don't want somebody to say something they're going to regret later on. And yet he stopped, he thought about it, and he's still continuing on.
And he doubled down.
On it. Exactly. So, and by the way, somebody said, hey, well, let Matt in here to defend himself. No, you know what? We have a very strict rule that if you're discussing somebody, they're allowed to come in. This is one time where that rule is being exempted. Sorry. I do not want him around.
Yeah,
let's go back to the free speech issue.
Sure.
Are we talking about free speech, right?
Sure. What about it?
Is that kind of speech harmful? And if it is that free speech?
Free speech could be harmful. I mean, that's okay. Look at when you have a society that allows for the freedoms we have, especially in America, because you have more freedom here than you do in other countries. Okay, you really do. There's other countries are a lot more strict when it comes to free speech. So, I mean, look what happened with what's
Count
his name?
Dankula?
Count Dankula. I mean, that would have been nothing over here, right? But over there, it's not free speech. But when you have a freedom in society, you have to take the bad with the good, and so that allows for hateful speech in some degrees, as long as it's not advocating violence. I don't think what Matt was saying is covered under free speech, as far as that's okay. It is free speech. He's allowed to say it, but there's ramifications for it.
There's ramifications for calls to action. I think that's what you're trying to get at, is that a call to action. There's a difference between saying, I don't agree with homosexuality. Okay, cool. If somebody has that opinion, I'll say, you're a little bigoted, but sure, whatever.
Exactly.
But if somebody actively says, I think the government should be able to execute a group of living, breathing human beings
Yeah,
Once you
exactly.
say those words, now you are having a call to action. Now, granted,
And
they're allowed to say it, but the other half of free speech is even though they're allowed to say the hateful thing, we are now allowed to denounce it and expose it.
And
Yeah,
one of the things
so-
is you can take that group and substitute with any group you want to, and somebody's going to have a problem with it. Like, for instance, what if we take out one group and substitute with, say, creationists should all be killed? How many of them are going to have a huge problem with it, and how many of them are going to realize that that is hate speech?
Just say Christians in general. If you say if you're okay with a group being persecuted to the point where they can be killed, then what would happen? What would you say that if the government did the same thing to people who were part of your religion?
That's my question. In Skylar's video, right? Matt Powell said gays should be executed humanely, but he said gays should be executed, and he published that, right?
Yeah, but we don't want to focus too much on that. That's not kind of irrelevant. What Matt was saying is irrelevant to the fact that the crux of this particular hangout is the fact that Skylar was denouncing hate speech, and he's the one that had to suffer the ramifications. And because of that, now Matt has gotten some publicity out of it.
Yes, it's
Which,
like
that's what bugs me.
It's like how when I did a video on Steven Anderson, the fact that I did a video responding to Steven Anderson, and in order to respond correctly, I had to include clips of him saying the heinous things that he said. In order for me to do that, in order for me to expose the idea, I do in fact have to have the idea there to be seen, because otherwise I'm asking people to take my word for it, and I would say that's even worse, especially when you're calling somebody out on something like that. So there is a degree where you do have to allow for the thing to be said within the context of that conversation.
My question. Do you allow for that?
Yes.
Yes, you have to. It's part of it. You have to allow for it to be said. Otherwise, it can't be exposed and it can't be challenged.
And the biggest thing is you have to allow people to criticize it.
It's like if I said, Cyrus had said this one particular thing. Well, where's my evidence behind this? Oh, you don't need it. Just take my word for it.
It was in a private hangout, and I said that I believe that all babies should be eaten with toast.
Or do you block that completely?
I think after the idea has already been exposed. So, for instance, take Steve, for instance. Steve knows what Matt's beliefs are on this thing. Because he knows, and because it's already out in the public, what this person's beliefs are, what the implications of those beliefs are. Steve, as my example, and hopefully you don't mind being my pariah here, Steve, has said that he will not be granting a platform to Matt. And that's the thing here, is that you can choose to grant a platform in order to expose, or you can choose to revoke a platform. However, the biggest thing is that none of us would say, for instance, and at least I wouldn't say, remove this individual's ability to speak on any platform.
No, neither would I. Again, he can go to any platform, any channel, anybody who wants to have him on. You do your thing. You do you. But I don't. I have always gone by certain principles. People can love me, people can hate me, whatever. But I'm an honest person, and I respect the fact when people try to do the right things. Skylar didn't do shit wrong, and he was penalized for it. And because of that, Matt is getting something out of it. Matt is getting attention now.
Yes,
but then you risk the adoption of a new disciple.
It's a risk you have. I would say it's a risk you have to take. Sometimes you're going to have, like I said, like the issue with Skylar's comment section. Sometimes you're going to have those people come out of the woodworks.
Yes.
It's going to happen. Unfortunately, though, exposing those ideas as harmful, in many cases, I would argue, outweigh the negative. See, here we had an issue. Like, what's the worst thing that happened here? Matt got a few more people who are siding with him.
Like 50 subs or some shit.
Something like that. But at the same time, Skylar, who has a wonderful channel, got over 400 subscribers out of this, a retweet from Dawkins on this, and essentially shoving it up YouTube's face. Hey, if you don't want to have free speech, you kind of have to follow this certain set of rules, and you're not following them. And YouTube backpedaled on what they did. You have this terribly negative thing that happened, but you do have positives that come out of it, and you have to look at where you're weighing those.
Which doesn't happen often.
There's a scale here. The scale here is that, okay, by calling out this incredibly bad idea, is it going to do more good than harm? And I would say in this case, absolutely it did. Because while the dude did get some followers, or maybe just people that like to subscribe to G-Man and just watch a fucking train wreck, which I think is honestly the case, he also got a lot of negative attention. Look at his most recent video. Look at the likes to dislike ratio. I'm betting you that didn't happen on accident.
Yeah, and by the way, again, I don't really talk about G-Man that much any longer, only for the fact that, the lulls have just been, it's powdered milk at this point, right? But occasionally, sometimes he'll say something stupid and say, oh, hey, go watch
Steve, please do not insult powdered milk like that ever again.
Ooh, powdered milk nasty.
G-Man is worse.
But yeah, he's worse. But here's the funniest thing. And again, I'm not having this particular hangout for views or anything else other than I was just really kind of pissed that Matt had a video 4 hours ago talking about Richard Dawkins, who I'm not a huge fan of, but it was this bullshit where he didn't take a responsibility. And he's just saying, well, Matt, Richard Dawkins says this, and this is way worse than what I say. It irritated me. And also, I talked to Skylar earlier today, and I said, I'm thinking about having a hangout, and that was the final straw. But, like G-Man right now, I just popped over because it just got a message that he's live. He's got 16 people watching us, twice the amount of subs I've got. I have 150 people watching. People rather watch something of interest. And this right now is interesting only for the fact that we are discussing something that affects a lot of people potentially.
Yeah.
The fact that you could be a content creator and you can lose your channel and get strikes for denouncing hate speech is something that affects everybody. Who gives a crap about, oh, I'm going to debunk human evolution because I'm a freaking dropout and doesn't know anything about biology. Nobody wants to watch that crap any longer.
I say the only thing that happened here, at least on Matt's side, is that he was just exposed as a really sad individual. I mean, I'm sorry, but it must suck being that young and already falling down a really dark path. In my
hard
opinion.
To get out of if you change
it would be horrible to live for a day in his mind.
Yeah, it would be absolutely horrible. I mean, just imagine a train wreck. Imagine a train wreck and a dumpster fire on the same picture, and while you have this old dude just mooning you. Okay, it's the worst image ever. But it's like just think this kid, is really young, and I say that as a young kid too. But at the same time, it's like you could do so much better, and yet this is what you're choosing to do with your life. Wow, does your life suck so far? You're not off to a good start, dude.
Real quick,
what pisses me off about this, like incredibly so, is that it basically outlaws criticism of bad ideas.
That's what we were saying. And by the way, let me read these real quick. Then one sec. So Mike did ask. He said, "Does the fact that Matt is young terrify everybody?" Yes, it does, and that's what we're talking about. But you know what? Somebody here made a very good point in the super chat, and I thank you for it. But Fostering Atheism said this, and I thought about this as well, but I didn't get a chance to say it. He did, so I'm going to give it to him. But he said, "I like to think that the subs he got, meaning Matt, are people wanting to be more aware of his bigotry and not actually supporting him." That's probably a good thing. You figure 50 people maybe sub to him. And, probably the vast majority of them are not those people that are actually supporting him. But they like to see a train wreck. I mean, how many people of the 10,000 subs that G-Man has, how many people actually agree with him?
My point exactly.
The people that actually want to listen to G-Man because they think that he's a smart teacher is few and far between. It's probably like 0.1% of his fucking subscriber base. It's probably.
I would love for somebody to say, "Hey, I have this college level course."
I have heard it before.
Let me go to G-Man.
That people say that G-Man is a good teacher, but it's still like vast minority. A super large portion of his subscriber base are people that think he's a lolcow, and to an extent, Matt Powell is a lolcow. His fucking atheists and video games video is fucking hilarious. Like it's comedy gold.
Sure.
He's not aware that
you just want to drink Coke, Ocean.
But it is. I just want to drink Coke and play video games and play Skyrim specifically.
I'm telling you, but if that was a parody, look at Ocean.
Skyrim's good.
Fuck Skyrim.
If that was a parody,
Fuck Skyrim.
If that was a parody video, that was a satire video, Ocean. Think about that. How would you even know the difference? If that was just some guy making a comedic thing up there, you'd be like, that was pretty funny. But he's serious about it.
He embodies Poe's law, but at the same time, he holds like opinions that are very, very real. And I had a couple of exchanges with some people on Twitter on this, that the opinions that he has, at least from the area that I grew up in, it's not exactly rare. There's a friend of mine in high school that he was gay, and his family was going to this church and dragging him to church every day.
Careful of the music.
Just dragging him to church every day, where they were saying that shit every fucking Sunday, where they were they would say faggot over and over and over again from the fucking pulpit.
Oh, but don't let me say that I live in Texas, and in Jasper was known for a good long period of time, I think all the way up into the late 90s, for actually dragging gay people behind trucks for miles.
That's not unlike what Jasper and George is known for, trust me.
Yeah, no.
What?
These are real life situations.
We're getting off topic.
I'm from just north of where Chris is talking about. And like, you get into that area and it's people
No,
they legitimately are full of
take
hate.
care of it. Trust me, I got it covered, Nelson. Look, I think that there's something to be said by these are real world consequences. These words have power when people advocate for these positions, because there are some people that do believe this. There's no question about it, and that's why I want channels like Skylar. That's why I want people like him denouncing that. Now, Skylar and I, we don't see eye to eye on a few things. Him and I sit together and talk about objective morality, there's going to be a dumpster fire from hell. But we both agree on things that are right and wrong.
I mean, here's the thing. Myself and Skylar don't see eye to eye on a few things too. Like, for example, I think Apple is absolute shit, and he thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Skylar's just wrong.
I know he's
clearly Skylar's wrong on that one.
He's clearly wrong on this, but we allow him to be wrong on that, and that's fine. We're still friends. I just have to annoy the fact that he has a shitty Apple device.
Part of free speech is allowing him to have the bad idea.
Exactly. So
he'll learn. He'll get older and learn.
He'll eventually grow out of it.
Yes.
Anyway, before we go, but here's the thing: I don't want us to be afraid of bringing attention to bad ideas when we're exposing those bad ideas, because yes, while they may get some supporters out of those bad ideas, they're going to get a lot more flack, especially when you do such a good job exposing those ideas like Skylar did. So
no, Reds. The problem is that you're in a different space.
What does that even mean?
You're in a physics space, right? And we're in philosophical space. So
what?
A bad idea. Hold on. No, Red. Hold on. A bad idea, regardless of where it is still a bad idea.
No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying I don't usually have philosophical or morality type debates. My forte is space science and dealing with flat earthers and that stuff. Well, here's the thing. Come at me with a philosophical issue, I'll whip the shit out of you. That's the way that shit works. So when it comes to the bad ideas that we were talking about, it's clear, like for example, what Sir has said. You may have lost a few people to this bad idea by bringing attention to the bad idea, but if you do a good enough job exposing the bad idea, they're going to get a lot more flack than supporters, in which case you did more good than harm. A lot more good than harm in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So so look at G-Man. We gave G-Man a lot of attention, and as a result, he got a lot of subscribers. But I'm just looking at his video that I picked at random. 23 upvotes, so 23 people like G-Man. 114 downvotes. I rest my fucking case.
And by the way, speaking of downvotes, the math video I did the other day, if you guys remember, had about 156 downvotes because of the flat earthers, but they were botted. And if you go look at the video now, there's only 19. YouTube actually will fix those things. And
you fixed my objective definition.
Cool.
I'm very shook about that, by the way.
Okay.
I was gonna tell you too that one of the things I was going to tell you with my video got downloaded to shit with the Matt Powell video, but I think they were more downvoting him than my channel, which I did not realize.
I don't know why people do that. They don't seem to understand it's your
Skylar, can I get
channel.
a copy of that video? Actually, I want to start
Oh,
a mirroring campaign.
Yeah, it's up. It's up now. You can download it. It's back up, so everything's I got
Wait, give me permission to mirror it?
back up today. I can stream. I can do everything. Luckily, everything's been reversed. But I was gonna tell you the worst, scarier thing was that dude Ben the Baptist was scarier to me than Matt Powell is. Like, I could see the anger and the hate in him from just talking to him. Like the internal rage that he had. Like, that's well, I shouldn't say. I shouldn't go any further than that, but I'd just say that I could see him doing terrible things.
True, but here's the thing: you like to have conversations, and I still think that you have some more optimism than I do, but you think that you can actually maybe change their positions in some way. Right?
I think I do, and I'll tell you why though. Too is like I've seen things affect people. Now they're not openly going to say they changed their position. Like, that shit's not going to happen. I've come to terms with that.
Yeah.
Right. But it gets under their skin and it makes them think. Because when you make people say, like, I'm not doing it to embarrass them. Okay. Like when I bring up a very awkward subject from the Bible, or I have to get them to admit there's some type of moral issue that's completely moral under their beliefs, it isn't to embarrass them. It's to get them to say it out loud with their own voice and for them to feel what it actually means. Right. And I mean, look at, like, I'll give you a great example. Ben the Baptist. A week later, he goes on to do basically a sermon on what we talked about, and like just more vitriol and more anger. And you can see it was getting bothered by it. And I've actually talked to people where I think it's affected them more, to where I see emotionally they're now, at least they've got to just at least say, now I don't know how to answer this question.
And I think that's great. Don't get me wrong. I like that kind of optimism. Yeah. I tend to have conversations because, I do similar things like you do. Obviously, we all have our conversations. We come things from a different perspective. But my conversations I have with people, I hope that the person I'm having a conversation with is an honest interlocutor and has the ability to change their position. If they are so vitriolic and so bigoted and so hateful and so racist and so homophobic or whatever, that's not the kind of guests that I want to have on. And I'm not judging anybody who does. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that for a second I'm not. I am. That it's just the conversations that I want to have. Not my cup of tea. I firmly leave that to other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm not going to be willing to have him on my channel. I did think about it for a while, but I'm just like, nah, that's okay. You did a good enough job, Skylar.
Yeah, when I heard the conversation between you and what's her name, Biana Dance, I realized I was wrong about my definition of objective morality, and I was very shook by that.
I appreciate that, but that's kind of a whole different topic.
I'm sorry.
We are going to have. I just FYI. Well, actually. Wow.
Does Clockwork want to say something? Yeah. And for all you people, silence your cell phones.
Yeah. By the way, Ocean, thanks for joining. I know Clockwork wants to say something. Just real quick though.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in and yell a little bit, but I'll see you guys later. Thanks for having me on, Steve.
Thank you, buddy. Anytime, my friend.
Take care, Ocean.
Take care.
If you guys didn't know, I don't punch up, right? I have a kind of a rule that I've kind of always had. I've implemented that people that I kind of think are on the same side kind of thing, whether they're in the GDC or GDC or skeptic. I don't make videos about them. You've never seen me punch up and say, hey, you know what? I think this person has a wrong opinion on objective morality. I'm going to make a video on it. Just doesn't. I don't do it. But as you guys know, I don't agree with Cosmic Skeptic on quite a few things, and neither does Rationality Rules, and neither does Dr. Malpass. We've all had conversations, and he will be on the Non Sequitur show. I'm not sure who's going to be talking to him. Maybe Alex will, Malpass. But, that when it comes to like objective morality, whether it exists or doesn't exist is irrelevant to me anymore. I don't think it makes a difference. It's just, it just really doesn't. But, when somebody says, hey, this is a fact, then I'm like, but I'm not going to make a video about it. So, I mean, that's why, Nelson, I haven't really addressed that issue. about objective morality because it's just
You don't care about divine command theory?
well, divine command theory is ethical subjectivism. Ethical subjectivism. It doesn't fall under objective subjective. Excuse me, it doesn't fall under moral objectivism.
I mean, in terms of the argument,
Well, I'll talk about divine command theory, and have a discussion about it. But nobody here agrees with divine command theory, so it's just not the type of hang up for that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
But divine command theory is, believe it or not, ethical subjectivism. So.
I think Steve, you and I have had two streams an hour where we've talked about that.
Yeah, and I know you agree. I mean, you've looked into it, and I know a few other people.
You told me to look through the literature, and I did.
Yeah, well, that's what I did too. I've been reading Thomas Nagel lately. I mean, I've been really looking at the literature. I've had really great discussions with Alex Malpass, and a few other people, and that's where I just get the knowledge from. And Richard Carrier, I had conversations with him, and so when people just say, by fiat, like cosmic skeptic, I'll just tell you my arguments about cosmic skeptic in a nutshell. He's doing what I think is what's called subjective reductionism. He's basically saying, and this is what I brought up to Rationality Rules, and Rationality Rules is making a video about this, so maybe he'll run with that. But cosmic skeptic's whole argument boils down to is saying objective morality doesn't exist because it's contingent upon the fact that I have a belief about the grounding of it. Therefore, my belief is subjective. Therefore, beliefs are subjective. Therefore, objective morality is subjective. It doesn't work that way. It's just a weird, lousy argument, and I think that he's going to realize that. I think the cosmic skeptic is going to change his position on it. But anyways, Clockwork, you had something you wanted to add? Because I know we're way off topic now.
Let's talk about the trolley.
Hang on, Nelson. No, that's not. Clockwork. But I'm glad I got that out there. I've been meaning to mention that because I like Cosmic Skeptic. I really do. I just think he's really wrong on a few things.
Clockwork, what say you?
Yeah, Clockwork.
Okay, would you rather have Matt be a disciple or a martyr on social media?
Wow. Oh, shit.
I will say this. I would personally rather him be a disciple because martyrs have more power.
You know what? I think he'd rather be a martyr for the fact that martyrs are like him are forgotten. He's not like, some significant player that dying for the cause. He's going to be one of those people that are going to be long forgotten. And there are some people that have said some pretty significantly stupid things that have been persistent and have staying power on YouTube. Obviously, Joss Furstein. There was Shock of God. There was
Shock of who?
Yeah, exactly. Mario. What's Mario?
What?
Yeah, Nephilim. What? I mean, there are
Christian
people still around. The Vigilant Christian.
Yeah.
And so there are a few that stick around, but he's not going to be one of those people. He's a year from now. It's going to be like, who was Matt's name? But Skylar's going to have 5,000 subs by then. He's going to be looking back, going, I don't remember that guy, barely, whatever.
You're lowballing how far Skylar's going to go from this.
I mean, Skylar's going to see when it happens. Skylar is going to get like an amazing amount of views, an amazing amount of subs, and then he'll get his head out of his ass and buy an Android device.
It's probably
Skylar looks hella bored.
Skylar, that's like Skylar's permanent board face. That's how
he just has a resting board face.
Yeah, he has like one emotional face. I mean, he doesn't really have much in the way of facial expressions.
Yeah, he has anger, bored, and surprise.
And the sucking dick look. You want to do that one?
I thought you guys were sucking my dick a minute ago. So I was like,
yeah, and there's also a sheer amount of disappointment where he looks at his phone and goes, "Oh,
it's an iPhone.
I have an iPhone." Well, I mean, not to get much into Skylar's thing, but Skylar has a past with Apple of some kind, right?
No, I just always loved their technology.
You like Apple, right? Though.
Yeah, I just like some of their technology. Yeah.
You like Apple, okay? Well, we're going to fault you for it. But,
I have the. I love their computers. Listen, man, everything that I make is on this Mac, so it's done me right so far.
Yeah, I guess so. No, I tell you what, I'm a big fan of Linux. I really am. Oh, well.
Tell me the difference between
Difference between
Well,
what?
there's the women parts. They have
Shut
certain
up.
things that are a little bit different than
Shut
male
up.
parts.
Shut up.
You can't have too big of a pause there, because if you do, you're gonna screw yourself.
Yeah, we're gonna fill in the blanks. Trust me.
Hold on. Tell me the difference between God damn it, I forgot. Never
Yeah.
mind. Go ahead.
Tell me the difference between, you know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
I just received a text message from one of my friends who's also an iPhone user. It's okay, I forgive you too, dick.
Yeah.
Although I wanted to say real quick, Skylar, I have to give you a big congratulations that all this got cleared up and you're good to go again.
I appreciate it, man.
Amazing.
You're gonna invite me to the next groundbreaking discussion you have, right? Right?
Dude, I don't usually do these hangouts too often. I only do the one-on-ones, man. I like to kind of. My problem is I can't when it's like a Christian in the room and there's like a bunch of it's just so hard to keep the Christian on point. I like just being able to have them right in front of me and just like, all right, let me ask you this.
Robots.
But when you okay, but
It's hard to acquire.
do you prefer the dumpster fire fuckery that you would find with Matt, or do you prefer somebody who's like a theist that says, you know, I have some legit arguments, let's discuss them?
Steve.
Hang on, Nelson.
Hold on.
Sorry.
It's interesting. It's funny because I don't know. Matt was interesting to talk to because at least he was polite and charitable. Like I could have a conversation, and I think he was somewhat honest in how he tried to answer the questions, like they were his genuine beliefs. The people who really irk me are people like Jesus is Lord, or like people that are just completely dishonest in their rhetoric, right? They don't really believe what they're arguing, and they're just mean spirit, like Wolf Bitten's another example of that.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Like those kind of people I can't stand talking to because they're loud, they're rude, they're interruptive. That's like Ben the Baptist was probably the ideal of what I like. A little bit sarcastic to me, just like condescending enough that it gives me an excuse to ask him tougher questions than I might ask a Christian who's a little bit more mellow in their beliefs. That's the kind of shit I like. Especially when they jump on the sword with the Bible stuff, where they're just willing to eat it and be like, "Yeah, I think God kills children." Yeah, that's kind of like, okay, if you're willing to say that.
I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, you know, I like Eric. Okay, people may not remember, but Wolf and Bitten had been. I don't remember if it was on my channel or somebody's channel a long time ago, way long time ago. And I realized back then he was just.
Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve, don't want to interrupt you, but I am going to have to jet for a second. So let me just say something to Skylar.
Sure.
Skylar, hey, man, listen. First of all, happy 4th. Secondly, sorry for giving you so much shit over the Apple thing, but it's going to be a running joke for a long time.
It's okay.
And I will be in Orlando sometime in the future on a date that shall remain undisclosed. So if you want to meet up, or if you think that you can stomach seeing my hideously ugly face again, I will be sending you a text message. That means actually look at that device that you have and read it for me.
Send it. Text me, and I'll.
And we'll see what we can do. So hopefully,
I'm a very busy man now with all this attention. Now,
yeah, I know you're very busy. You know, you're making record deals and shit like that. Gonna
find time for the
dude. He'll be singing. He'll be singing duets with like.
He's gonna have his own HBO show, and we already know what's going on.
Justin Bieber and Skylar Fiction presents. You know?
Oh my fucking god! And all I'm saying, Skylar, is that I will be in Orlando. Want to meet up with you, and when you do eventually purchase your Lamborghini, you will be giving me a ride.
All right, I love it.
Peace out, everybody.
We'll get together.
Thanks, but have you noticed with like Wolf Bitten? I don't ever talk about that dude. I have one video on my channel where I just annihilated him. One of my favorite videos, to be honest with you. I think that particular discussion was just an ass raping. He just got screwed, right? And I loved it. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy just showing what a dimwit he really was. But I don't go out of my way to really call him out any longer. I know he's called me out. Matter of fact, Dell's called me out recently from Beyond the Imaginary Curve. I don't respond to any of these people any longer. It's just I don't bother. Look, if somebody wants to have a conversation, they can come in. You don't get any special treatment. You don't get this, oh, I want to talk to you one-on-one. No, it's not because I'm anybody of any importance. No, I'm a smaller player than you, basically, Skylar. You've been around longer. But I don't like having this thing where somebody called me out, I got to respond. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't do anything for me. I have no obligation to respond to anybody that I don't want to respond to, especially somebody who calls me out. I don't care. Now, if you want to come in here and have a civil dialogue like people do with Skylar, sure, come on in. But it's just to talk shit. And like you said, like Wolf Bitten, how do you have a civil conversation with that dude? Is it even remotely possible? I don't think so.
No, his strategy is when he knows he's losing the debate, he'll just start yelling and over talk at you because that's the only thing he's got at that point. And then it's just a clusterfuck, basically.
Yeah, and they'll throw
like G-Man
out there. Yeah, pretty much, exactly.
No, it is. It is actually a lot like G-Man.
It is.
Very same kind of personality, actually.
But you see, I got one thing to say about that. You know how I know G-Man and all them who do that are indeed correct? Because they yell it so loudly in front of everyone that they obviously have to be correct because they yell it, right?
Yeah, that's a rule of thumb. The louder you are, the more correct you are. No, look, I understand people do get upset, but and it's fine to be boisterous if sometimes people are passionate, but there's a duplicitous factor that people are. Hang on, Nelson. There's a factor that when you have people like Wolpison and G-Man who can we safely say that both of them are just liars now? I mean, is there anybody who doesn't believe that? Because I am not trying to put a claim out there. Oh, look, they're just dishonest, and I have to back all that crap up. Look, I think it's pretty well ubiquitously out there. I think it's established that G-Man is a liar. It's just
yeah, because I mean, if you look,
wrong with you.
If you look at whenever he does when someone brings up the slavery thing, he'll sit there and bring up this Bible verse that supposedly says that that slavery is not at all like what people think, because they obviously are evidently thinking that it's the Civil War era slavery. And whenever someone goes to try to correct him, saying, "No, this is exactly what this says," he will yell it and be like, "And I quote, this is what the Bible says."
No, that's not him lying, though. That's if he believes it, that's not a lie. What I mean by lying is that he will purposely say things he knows are not true. He's done it numerous times.
Well, he believes lying to atheists is moral.
Yes, I think so. I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean at this point. There's no honesty. I honestly don't know how even the Christians look at G-Man and think he's an honest person. I gotta think to some degree they just know he's like that, but they don't care because he's talking to atheists along that line. That's the only thing I can guess at this point why he. I don't know why anybody watches him. I mean, for fun, yeah, for lols, he's hilarious to watch. But and I'm not. Listen, I just went in his room the other day, and I knew it was just going to be purely to troll him and just to have some fun. But there are people who would get genuinely upset by him about when he acts. I'm like, why? Why do you care how this buffoon acts on YouTube? Like, he's not someone to take serious. He's not interesting. He's not smart or anything.
Then why give him a platform?
Well, because we used to be for lulls. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take the moral high ground or have hypocrisy here. We all have done it. We'll still do it, and occasionally even I will. I just don't make it part of my usual hangout stuff. I don't talk about G-Man very often. Very, very, very rare. This is like the first time in God knows how long, months probably.
Well, and don't forget too, and Steve's been around a long time too. I've been doing this 4 or 5 years, being kind of a part of the greater great debate community and things like that. This was it. This is what you did as the community. You'd go on G-Man's channel, or you'd go on another theist's channel, or these were this. I don't want to say the stars, but we're key members of the community, right? And I remember going on when I was really young on YouTube, on his channel to argue. Probably, I think it was the first time I went on YouTube to argue with people about religion was on his channel. So this has history to it a little bit, and it is kind of as much as I dislike him I've really started to dislike him in the last couple of years as a person. But before that, it wasn't so much animosity. It was more just whatever. It was the professional wrestling of like a religious debate. Like there were characters and it was fun and it was over the top and everyone in the end kind of knew their place. But now it's not like that. It's kind of changed a little bit. It's a lot more vicious. It's not, he's very mean spirited. I mean, you go look, I should post sometime a video of like one of the first videos I went on his channel, and he didn't over talk and yell like he does now. He actually kind of listened and would be quiet, and you would actually have a debate with him. You would always still win because it's still G-Man. But like it was, but at least it was somewhat civil.
Right. But do you notice though, as time has gotten later on, he's gotten a lot more just off the deep end as far as that. I mean, he's gone after people's kids. He's gone after people's work. He's threatened to dox people. That's beyond the pale. I mean, nobody's ever heard anyone in here say, "Oh, you know what? I disagree with you. Let me give out your address to people." Oh, I disagree with you. Let me talk about your children. That has never happened.
Steve, I just disagreed with you, and well, I don't have any of that information, so it doesn't matter with me.
Really, my you know what's funny is my information is all public record, but but people, like, for example, somebody's saying, well, I think Skylar's dishonest. I'm like, okay, look, if you think Skylar's dishonest, come on here and say why. I believe that. That not that you're dishonest, but I mean, I believe in somebody should, if you think somebody's dishonest, make a case for it. This person won't do it, and they say, well, you call G-Man dishonest. Well, yeah, but I have evidence G-Man is dishonest. I made a video called about G-Man being dishonest. And when you have everybody that has a story about him lying to them, there's something to be said about that, and not just a story, but documented. I have a video of him saying to me, I'm going to go on Drunken Peasants and lie about you, basically.
It amazes me how, and not even just him, but there's a lot of people I talk to, like Christians. Just the other day, the same shit Jesus is Lord had pulled on me, where he said he made a comment specifically to me. I called him out, and he's like, I didn't say that to you. I was talking about America. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and watch the video, and I'll make a video about this if you lied. But so I did, and I showed it, right? So then I get on this show, and if you haven't watched this, it's really an interesting conversation. Well, I can't even remember the dude's name. It's like one of the last videos I did, last 3 or 4 videos. And I got on, he was a YouTube evangelizer. He basically gets on people to come on his channel and do Bible studies. And I was like, I wrote him initially. I was like, hey, my name's Skylar Fiction. You should come on my channel where you have discussions on theology. And then he writes back. He's like, hey, thank you for commenting. I would love to have a Bible study with you on my channel. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, that's fine. I was like, I'll take what I can get. I can take the stream right after it's done, and I'll edit it and put some stuff on it. But during the conversation, he pulled that same shady ass thing where he would say something about me. I was telling him how I was studying to be a pastor and a reverend at one point. And he started saying, well, he's like, oh, you're probably starting to, studying to be able to make money and be a rich pastor. And I was like,
just misrepresent you.
Yeah. And then I was like, no, I was like, dude, that's totally, you're bearing false witness, man. I'm like, I wasn't doing that. He's like, I wasn't saying you. I was just talking about pastors America. Like that.
Do you consider yourself an atheist now, Scott? I know you were a theist to deist to agnostic, and now I think you're an atheist, right?
I just tell people that when it comes to the Christian religion, I'm an atheist.
Okay, that's fine. So tomorrow you'll be a Christian again. You got to do the whole circle starting over again.
I would say I'm more agnostic towards the God concept, but I think it's fair enough just to say towards a specific religion, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in your religion. I think it's bullshit. It's funny. They asked me that for that article from Dead State. I was like, let me not mince words. Let me just say atheist, and
that's fine. No, I totally understand that. But what's funny is if you notice there's a certain personality quirk among G-Man, Wolfbitten, and Ronnie for all the same thing that you just described. How many times have you seen this? Because they've done it to you. Because I've in real time I've seen this. Well, they will say, you'll ask them. You'll say, hey, I'll have a conversation with this. I'll set up a hangout on my channel. You'll come over and let's talk about it. And they say, fine. And 2 seconds later, they're like, okay, I'm ready for my channel. I have the hangout set up. You're like, whoa, wait a minute here. I didn't say I was going to go on your channel. Oh, you're just being a coward.
Yeah.
Have they not done that to you? Because I saw them do it to you.
Yeah,
it's just a pulling of the rug at that point.
Yeah, they do it to me. They used to do it to me all the time.
With that said, guys, I'm hopping out for the night. So it was good to be here.
Yeah, I was actually saying about to say the same thing. I'm hopping out.
Yeah, I'm not. A few more minutes. We're gonna wrap it up. I think we kind of got everything out that needed to get out. But yeah, Scott, like I said, I am so grateful that YouTube pulled their head out of their ass and they fixed your stuff. You do have a lot of support. You had a lot of support. And
it was really amazing how many people supported. Everybody offered support, which was incredible.
How many Christians did Curiosity?
I mean, you had people like Deidre, of course. Holy Spackle was there. A couple, from the moderate
ones.
Yeah, from the moderate group that they have over there, moderate Christians or moderate with C. I forgot what the technical name is for it. But a lot of those.
But could I ask a real quick question?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're okay with broadcasting someone saying gays should be executed?
Okay, Nelson, we kind of moved on past that, dude.
Well, I mean, I'll answer. I mean, if I ask them a question and they answer it, yeah, I don't have a problem with them saying it. I'm not going to specifically go and look for people with that opinion so they could share that opinion to a larger audience.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've decided. I mean, we all as a group, I think, are fine with the concept of people can say what they want, but there's ramifications for it, right? And if you're a racist piece of crap or a bigot or a homophobe or anything like that, the consequences are that they're minor as far as I'm concerned, but you're not going to be around me. I'm not going to have you on my channel. And if other people want to have you on their channel, go for it. I'm not going to condemn anybody. I'm not going to say, oh, well, Skylar, don't have Matt Powell on your channel. If Skylar says I want to have Matt on my channel again, okay, go ahead. But that doesn't mean I have to.
Well, what's interesting too, it was another angle to this whole thing that I got a couple arguments from, which was like YouTube's allowed to do whatever they want because they're a private company. And that cracked me up because of course they can do whatever they want. They're a private company. Yeah, and no one's making that argument.
Right.
But what happened to me was not even within their guidelines. Like what they're talking about when they hit me, they flagged me with hate speech. It was for promoting hate speech on my channel. And nobody was promoting hate speech. Even Matt was just answering. I don't even know if I'd count that as promoting hate speech as much as I asked him a question and he told me what according to the Bible should happen. Now, at no point was I was like, I did say he was advocating for it, right? But he didn't come on and try to make an argument for why this should happen. I literally just asked him, is this what he believes? He said yes. And the only time he talked about it more is when I pushed him more on the kind of how a government would do it in the first place. But that was what the issue was. It was about how it was unfair to that. And I mean, there is a bigger issue. Like, listen, YouTube, like it hurts YouTube to censor people. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think the more open we can talk about these things, the better. I think also you drive it underground in the secret where nobody can hear about it because these groups will find ways to communicate. Talking with Ben the Baptist and Matt Powell, I didn't realize, man, dude, I thought Calvinists were like the worst kind of Christians, and they're not in comparison to these
yeah.
At least the Calvinists tend to be just more like they just jump on the sword with the awful things, but they're not out promoting things like that. Like they're just like.
I happen to agree with you. I thought that the Matt Slick crowd was probably the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
No, I would take 1,000 of them over one Matt Powell.
It's like this. The way I can best describe it is I don't know the specific branch of what these guys are, but it's basically KJV onlyist, so King James onlyist, mixed with all you need to do to be saved is accept Jesus Christ. But they're very strict on that. Like they don't believe in repentance. You can repent, but that is nothing built into being saved. And they're just like very, very heavy on the Jesus, accepting Jesus, and that's it. I mean, look, Ben the Baptist basically came on my channel to try to show Christians that I was never truly a Christian because of basically the way I answered how you got saved. And I added, I said the basic things: believe Jesus Christ, love him with your heart, mind, body, and soul, and then, try to repent of your sins and live the best you can. And he was like, no, that's not, you were never saved then. It's like, but their only mission was to discredit me from being a Christian so that I would look bad or I was a reprobate. So they could just prove I'm a reprobate, and then anything I say, no matter how I could destroy their argument or make them look bad, was irrelevant because it's just a reprobate mind.
But that's a genetic fallacy, though.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, they're fucking loaded with fallacies. Yeah, that kind of like that's like You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That is true.
Yeah,
I
like,
noticed that a lot. They
I,
don't
I, you can't even like, dude. You should. You really. I gotta send you the link, Steve. This guy.
They still got to say what they had to say, right?
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, they get to say whatever. I mean, but that's the thing too. Is like, I don't mind if they want to tell me their opinions. They want to come on and tell me their opinions. That's fine. It just makes more people aware of the dangers of Christianity. To be honest with you, and people need to know. They need to know what's in the book. Yeah.
I don't think, like, obviously Christianity is dangerous in itself. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm against radical ideas and radicalization and radical evangelicals. That is a different cry altogether than just somebody saying I have particular belief. Whatever. That's just, who cares? I think the beliefs, when they have a danger to society, influence that can affect people, that is something that I think is far worse. And I get the anti-theist argument. I don't agree with it, but I get the argument that even just having a simple belief, does affect society. I understand that, but the reality is there's a far cry from the beliefs that somebody like a Matt Powell has. Far
I mean, that's true. I guess it's not even necessarily Christianity, because if someone just tells me they just believe in Jesus and want to love and be kind to people,
you're not gonna care.
Okay, I'm not going to care. Go out and do your thing, right? It's the Bible that causes all the problems, because you could take that book and make it mean anything, like literally anything. Look at you. We have flat earthers because of the Bible, right? You've got Calvinists because of the Bible. You got these people who are advocating positions like Matt Powell was advocating because of the Bible, right?
The execution.
Anti-evolutionist.
But what's funny is if a Christian really wanted to promote some stuff, the best way I think they could do it is take a very moderate position and say, look at, and I get that the radical ones get the attention. That makes sense, because it's the society. But for a Christian to say, hey, I want you to believe like I believe, and it's up to God, and I just want to be a good person. I just want to promote love thy neighbor, and don't steal, don't kill, stuff like that. I think everybody would be like, oh, kumbaya. But that's not what I see most of the time. The moderate Christians are being overshadowed by these radicals. I mean, for every one Dr. Rhodes or every one General Han Solo, agree with them or disagree with them, there's probably a dozen more radical evangelical types.
And why give them the platform then?
Well, I mean, I do agree with, like Atheist Edge said, that sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I do agree with Skylar. Having conversations with them exposes them, but this is one of those rare situations that, because of the exposure this particular situation has gotten, this is my one and done on it. This is, I want to get my opinion out on it. I wanted to be on record saying how much I denounce the stuff that Matt says and how much I stand by my friend Skylar.
Come on.
But I don't talk about this kind of stuff on my channel very often, and there's reasons for that. I don't. But anyways, I leave that for Skylar.
Yeah, well, I was going to say too. As I said, realistically, like most of the comments, like it isn't. I'm not really when you have someone like Matt Powell on, you're not catering to his audience, because there's very few people who actually share his beliefs already, and those people most likely don't even know who I am. Especially, I don't even have that many subscribers on YouTube. Yep. So it's not like I'm appealing to a mass audience. Somebody who was super famous and had someone like him on, that would be dangerous, to be honest with you. Yeah. But when you have a couple thousand subscribers, maybe. I mean, I was very fortunate with the Matt Powell video to get up to I think it's up to almost 80.
that got thousands of.
But the reason is a news organization picked it up. I mean, you had Dead State, you had Pathos picked it up. There was a bunch of them that were on there. Raw Deal had picked it up. Like all these names saw the video and shared it. So like news organizations, so it had a broader audience.
But Scott, let me ask you this: do you not think? Okay, this is again. This is not throwing shade your way. Please don't think that I am. I'm not. But doesn't it suck in some ways that your video has been promoted not for the great job that you did with the interview? I'm not saying it was bad or anything, but the fact that it became famous because you have a shit person, saying stupid stuff. That's the reason why it's getting getting big, and I hate that. I watch your videos get big. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's I'm not throwing shade your way.
But you can't.
God damn it, Nelson! Stop interrupting me.
I'm sorry.
I like to have a conversation here, and every time I'm saying something, you interrupt me. But does it bug you as much as it bugs me that the fact that your more popular video happens to be because of this guy?
You know what? Funny, it doesn't, and I'll tell you why. I think my biggest channel my biggest problem as a creator here on YouTube has been getting my content out to new audiences, and because when I get people to watch my channel, they tend to like it, and I could see it because I'll see someone new find my channel, and then they just go through almost every video I have, leaving comments, right? So like I think once I reach the audience, they tend to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I get that, and I could definitely see your point of view on that. It's still obviously publicity is publicity. It's just,
absolutely.
To me though, if I had a very popular video and the reason it got popular is because somebody was spewing the crap that he spewed, I don't know. It bugs me. Now, if it was just like Hovind stuff, the crap that he spews about young creationism, that'd be just fine. But the vile stuff that Matt spewed, that's
it's all. I mean, it's terrible. I mean,
I hate it. I really hate it. Hey, Rex.
Well, don't think of it like this. Think of it as in it's famous because, or it's a popular video, not because people have anything against like you or your channel or anything, and it's certainly not because people agree with them. But there is a spectacle kind of aspect that comes along with it, and it appeals to a wide variety of of people out there. This guy's it's like a reality TV show in a way, where this guy, these people, this family, this woman, this man, whatever, is so crazy and so out there that we can just sit here and listen to how crazy and nutty this person is, and it's so out there that it's like entertainment. It's almost like lowbrow entertainment in a way, and it's not necessarily bad. And especially the way with YouTube works, with who it recommends to who, or what it recommends to who, and who gets the videos and who doesn't. Sometimes you just have to shrug your shoulders and say YouTube's YouTube, and just kind of take the views. If it wants to throw you views, it's just like, well, I got them, and that's more than a lot of people get. So
it's true. Yeah. And I don't know. I find it. I think there was a perfect storm with that video too. I think that like I got him to admit to a lot of stuff all at once, like a lot of different things. I mean, remember the part where he thought there were megalodons on the ark? Right? Like that was pretty funny. Like
no,
funny moment. Like to be like, he's like, yeah, megalodons. And I'm like, you know what a megalodon is?
Okay. How would that even work? Would they have like a bank? Was it like
dude, I don't know. And I think that's part of I don't know. I don't know how to say it. I would say yes, it's frustrating. But man, I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years, and it's taken me so long to build an audience, and it's discouraging because I think I make good content, and I think I make things interesting and do something a little different. You think like I started doing this, like I didn't even argue, debate in videos. I used to just cut YouTube clips up of different hangouts and put music and title cards.
All you did was you downloaded a clip, you uploaded and put a bumper on it and called it transformative.
People fucking love that shit though.
No, I'm not throwing shade on it. I'm just saying that's how you started off.
Listen, first I want to clear something up with this, because there was a lot of editing involved, because I had all the like that people would make gone because it makes bad movies. But I would put music, I would score music under it. There's some beautiful title cards. Every once in a while, I'll throw a little movie clip in for things. People love that shit. But
I had to do the same thing. Like, for example, all the podcasts that we do, I edit those podcasts. And so when we interview somebody, or we're going to throw something up on the what is it called? Spreaker, and FM Fireside and iTunes, all that stuff, I actually do all that editing, and I take out the ums. I take out the parts that drop. I edit it for content, right? And you have to. I mean, if you want to have a podcast, you don't want that crap in there. It's not like a hangout like this. People are going to watch later on, and they don't really care too much about the audio quality as far as people having discussions. They know this is a very free-form type of discussion. But when you have a podcast, we wanted it to be a little bit more higher-end quality. And so we do eliminate the vocalized pauses and edit it for content. And that is time-consuming.
Steve, I think that I would be less inclined to watch it because of that.
Well, you don't watch it; you listen. It's just audio.
You know what I mean. But I would be less.
I didn't watch a podcast.
I would the same way I'm watching this hangout.
Yeah.
But I would be less inclined to consume the media if it was edited like that. So it's possible that maybe that time
would
is
never
being
know.
spent.
How do you know? If I take out a vocalized pause and it's a clear edit, you don't even know that it's missing.
Yeah, that's actually the good sound. That's a good sign of someone who knows how to edit.
I can tell you what an looks like by the waveform, dude. That's how many times I've done it.
I guess if no one can tell, then that's one thing.
Yeah, no, it's seamless. I mean, but there are some times where people like lose quality of the audio, right? And so what I have to do is I'll take out that chunk and then seamlessly put it together, so it seems like there's a transition. But that's how editing's done. I mean, but by the way, can you just get this out of the way because Skylar, once for all, you're basically agnostic, but you're atheist toward a Christian God. You're no longer a deist, correct? Yeah, I mean, GPH has a bone to pick. I don't know what it is.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Hang on. If you ask again after he says this, you guys are more than welcome to time him out for the remainder of the duration of this hangout. So
I'm going to answer this directly, but I want to say a hilarious story about this GPH. So he used to constantly argue with me in the chat about slavery not being endorsed in the Bible or condoned. And I'm like, you're crazy. It's in there. I give him scripture, you wouldn't believe me. So then I finally, like the same night, I was arguing with him through somebody's chat, and Veckel came in. And I was like, yo, Veckel, tell him, man. Like, tell him your Calvinist views. Tell him this. Like, tell this dude slavery is endorsed. Veckel totally did it. He's never said a word since. Like, it's so funny that I had to get a Christian to explain to him.
Yeah, you're just an atheist or agnostic. Your opinion means nothing. It's funny is a lot of these people will take the opinion just by somebody who has a label of Christian, regardless of what the hell they say. It is tribalism to an extreme.
Oh, that's great. Well, so let me answer his question. So he can never. All right. I am an atheist when it comes to the Christian religion. I do not believe in the Christian religion. I think it's bullshit. I think your God, well, if you're a Christian, I believe the God is morally contradictory and his nature is morally contradictory. Therefore, it can't exist. So it doesn't exist. To other gods, because I was a deist for a very, very long time, and I still appreciate some of those deist views, and they'll always be right here in my heart. Always tempted to go back to it. I'm a little bit more agnostic on it. Like, I don't know if there's some kind of God that exists that create everything, that's more of a creator God, but doesn't really interact with us. So I would be agnostic on that aspect. I hope that clears everything.
When you stop being a deist, would you think then?
What do you mean? Like, well, I mean, that's why I just kind of called myself agnostic. Like, I mean, I was always probably atheistic towards the Christian religion, like in that sense, like I don't believe in it. But when I stopped being a deist, I just kind of called myself.
This is really lately. Really recently, you really kind of stop identify as a deist, right?
Yeah, it was only, I think, about a year ago, maybe a little longer, but about a year ago, I kind of stopped identifying as deist, just mostly because they didn't really have any good arguments for it. They were just kind of hopeful thinking or wishful thinking, to be honest with you, based on a lot of Alan Watts I was listening to at the time that made me feel good about life.
Yeah.
Not that you should feel bad about life, but sometimes like you listen to stuff that sounds satisfactory to you and makes things seem better, and it doesn't mean it's actually.
GPS wants to know why you back in May you're talking to Woolpit and you said you were a deist, and that's the question that GPS gets to ask.
No, I think I think
it's misunderstanding.
I think so too. It was probably me saying I used to be a deist, most likely to him.
But even if you did, who the fuck cares? I don't. It's irrelevant.
I love how he's telling me to watch the hangout as if I wasn't fucking in it.
Do you remember your own hangout? No, I mean, come on, we've had thousands of hangouts. It's like you can't remember everything, but you know what? It's such a trivial point. It would make a difference. You could say that you were still a Christian 2 months ago. I don't really care. It's meaningless to me. Yeah. We got to get a soundboard for that, don't we?
And also, I could misspeak too. There's times if you're in a heated debate and you're yelling, especially someone with whip button, and you're trying to have a conversation, things come out wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what happened. I'm almost 99% positive.
So this is the way I look at this, Skylar, and this is what I do in these situations. I don't really give a shit about the past or people making mistakes or people saying things incorrectly, because we all do that. I like to go on record and make the record straight. So just to be on straight, For the record, you are exactly what you just said. You know,
Yeah.
agnostic for the most part, but you are atheist toward the Christian God. You don't really identify as a deist. That's basically what you said, right?
Yep.
Okay, there you go, GPH. That's it. That's all you get on it. Knock your shit off. I mean, you are just being whiny all the fucking time. I don't mind people being whiny, but for God's sake, man, add something to the conversation rather than just bitch for a change.
Well,
Who
yeah.
is this? You go ahead. I was
No, I was
do
just
any
going to say
talking
I've offered that dude 100 times to come in and have a conversation with
Oh,
him.
he's never been in a hangout.
No,
Yeah.
he's never. He's
So I
probably,
mean,
he's
you
probably like
really
16
don't
years
really
old.
give too much credence for somebody who hasn't the
No.
balls to stand for their own positions. I know.
Exactly. I would even do it off air if he was willing. I'd even do an off air hangout just to see.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, great. I don't think everybody has to go into a hangout. I mean, but God knows, Skylar and I, we don't run away from that shit. How many hangouts have we been in? Fucking balls deep, man.
Yeah, and I take it when I can get it, man. If someone's willing to come in, you know how hard it is to get a fucking Christian to come in the room with me and debate one-on-one. Like, it's
difficult.
So hard. It's insane how difficult it is to get anybody in. Anyways, I think Rags was going to say something.
Yeah, sorry, Rags.
Rags, what a wonderful voice you have, man. It's a great,
it's so
well, thank you.
So amazing.
Thank you.
Good.
And this is on Hangouts too, because we're still because Discord hasn't made Hangouts obsolete yet. I'm sure they're working on that. But who is this basketball guy? This Nolan dude? Did he have a problem with?
He's just drunk.
Oh, he was.
He's just drunk.
He's
don't say stupid shit.
He's been a supporter of my channel, so I gotta I can't be too hard on him. I've known him for a very, very long time, but he'll get very drunk and just be nonsensical, and it is.
Did he not like the Matt Powell thing? Because I thought that went. I thought that was great. I thought that was a good chat shit there.
Thank you. I think he just really hates dogs that review games.
Well, he can go and suck a dick.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think there's a productive hangout. Look, again, I don't often do these types of hangouts where I just single out a particular person or situations. But this was a special occasion.
Well, I don't think I don't think it put across that he was singled out so much as he was clearly somebody out there saying his thing, and we had a discussion about that. And I think too that when it goes into this whole when you can't talk to this person, or was it a good idea to talk to this person, there's someone who wants to talk is going to talk no matter what. And when you have people who think like him, which clearly they exist because he's talking in front of an audience, so people do want to listen to that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's just the truth of it, and nothing you can do can change that. So what your option is all right, well, if we don't give him a platform, or if we deny him one, or we'd say we're not going to talk to you or discuss anything with you, well, what that means is that he's going to make his own platform, or he's going to retreat someplace, and he's only going to be surrounded by people who agree with everything that he says, and he'll be effectively preaching to the choir. And all that does is that just makes them more and more extreme. It puts them in an echo chamber, and they're never going to change like that. And then the more underground that you try and force them, the harder it will be to keep up with what they're actually doing. Or you can put it out there so that everybody can see it and be turned away from it. And potentially you can have this person exposed to an opposing opinion that they would never, ever see if they had just retreated into their own little circles.
Yeah,
so
they do want an echo chamber. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't believe you're talking to XYZ. Well, somebody should, quite frankly. And it might, on the surface, look bad, but really, if you want to fix the problem, then the best thing you want to do is try and get them to think differently. Because if you...
Okay, sorry.
No, that was basically done.
I think that's true to a point. But there's a limit. Like, for example, here on out, I don't see any redeeming quality for anybody to have anything value to get from talking to Matt. I just don't.
I do think it makes Christianity look worse.
Possibly. And if somebody wants to utilize that for that purpose, that's fine. I just not my thing. I don't get anything out of having a conversation with Matt. Unless Matt said, hey, look at like, for example, I forgot to tell you guys this, and this is kind of important. Do you guys remember when I had a special edition, Let's Talk About You with Shannon Q, where basically it was Let's Talk to Steve and Shannon moderate. Mm-hmm. And I brought up all the Hovind claims, right? And I told Matt to look into them. He did. And guess what he told me? He recognized that the claims that were wrong. He said, yeah, you know what? I looked into these and you're right. There's no way around this kind of thing. Hovind was wrong because there's no other way to look at it. Hovind had wrong claims, especially when he was given a citation for something that happened 2 years before the event. How do you get around that? But then the same day he sent me that email, he put up a freaking video with that one guy talking about carbon dating and getting it all wrong. So it's just, it pissed me off that he was like, hey, Steve, you're right, by the way. But at the same time, I would put this video as if that never happened. That's when I realized that I just thought he was dishonest.
Well, do you think that let the Matt Powell talk? Let's think about this. Do you think that we moved in any degree closer to changing his mind on any of the things he thinks?
I thought so. This is what kills me. I honestly thought so. And maybe when I was naive, and if I was wrong on that, hey, fuck me, right? But I've been talking to him for quite some time. I've been corresponding with him via email for quite some time. And he's been asking me questions. I'm explaining to him things about biology and radiological decay and blah, blah, blah. And he would ask me, his argument, he had this thing about angular momentum, which I didn't get a chance to respond to him. But I was like, how does angular momentum prove God or somehow debunk Big Bang cosmology? And I was thinking to myself, do you just some rational person think that something so simple about law of angular diameter or whatever that physicists, PhDs don't understand these topics? None of them. Stephen Hawking hasn't said, when he was alive, oh, none of this could be true because of angular momentum. No, nobody that understands these topics would ever do such a thing. But as Skylar pointed out, he's homeschooled. He just never got a proper education. For some reason, it makes sense that some very simple things, like the second law of thermodynamics, this proves evolution. Well, no, it doesn't. And if you understood the second law, you would understand that, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought that when he was asking me these questions and he admitted that Hovind was wrong on his claims, there was hope for him. I think
it's a little bit at a time, especially with someone as extreme as that. It's definitely something you chip away at slowly and surely.
But you don't put a video up that same day just being the opposite exactly what he told me, right? And that video that he put up, I even commented to him why it was wrong, and he wouldn't allow that comment to be shown on the video. What am I supposed to think?
Well, the way that I see it is that even if that is the case, you've still in some way affected his thinking, if that is how he's behaving.
Possibly, but I'm not willing to give him the benefit of the doubt any longer. Even though he says, Steve, I really respect you. He has nothing but positive words for me. He's never said anything negative about me. But I don't think I want to invest my time with somebody that I don't think really sincerely wants to change. And I'm sorry, but if you think that what his position on gays is, if somebody thinks that's a viable position, if somebody thinks that's sensical and humane and good, that's just a vile person to me. I don't really want to deal with that.
Very small in number, which is all the more reason that when they get pushed away, then they coagulate in these little churches and it gets worse and worse.
Yes, and there's something to be said about like I said, sunlight just affecting them. And you're right, they'll get an echo chamber and they'll just kind of like it'd be like a echoing effect where it just resonates and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger kind of thing. And that can happen, sure. But I leave those conversations for somebody like Skylar. He enjoys them a lot more than I do. He gets something out of it. His channel you get a big benefits out of it. I'm not looking for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there is a difference between we don't think this person should be allowed to get in public and say anything, and I just don't want to have this discussion with you personally. That is a difference. Yeah.
I've never said that he can't talk about this. As a matter of fact, I wanted to mention this earlier, and I didn't get a chance because Skylar had said something about people changing the narrative, and I see this happen a lot. People seem to want to change an argument to something away from what it actually is. Right? When somebody has told Skylar, oh, well, YouTube has a right to do blah, blah, blah. But that was never an argument that anybody's ever said, right? Nobody ever didn't say YouTube doesn't have a right to do what they want on their platform. And nobody's ever said that Matt doesn't have a right to say what he can say, he wants to say. And so when I have somebody who say, well, Steve, you can't tell people what they say and what they can't say, I never have. Again, you're changing the argument. And I see people do that quite frequently. It's annoying. Stop it. Don't do that. It's just, they do it to me all the time. They did it to me on my Facebook page today on the abortion discussion. Somebody was changing the argument, and I'm like, that's not an argument that I've ever argued. So why you show me citations for something I'm not arguing? It's a Modem Bailey situation where you take something that is easy to defend instead of having to deal with the difficult questions, and I just go nuts on that. But anyways. I'm gonna wrap
And
this up.
besides, it's not like you have a huge channel. It's like you're shy of 6,000 subs, and a lot of these people are like, well, if you really work at it, and if you really make good, excellent content, and you can appeal to an audience, it's like nobody is stopping you from going out there and creating your own kind of a platform and getting yourself out there to be the one who makes all these decisions. Like it's not like it's not like you're talking about, you know, an entity like YouTube or some sort of a college or a university or something like that, or a lecture hall. It's like you can go out and you can make a channel if you wish, and you could fill it with whatever kind of stuff that you want as much as you want. And if there's an audience for it, then maybe they'll consume that, and maybe you'll grow your audience. But
yeah,
I think a lot of people just want to like, this other guy.
I am happy growing the audience that I've grown. If Skylar's happy with his audience, you know, we started. God, we've been on this for years now. I mean, I started my channel 5 years ago. This channel is actually a 5-year-old channel, even though I've only been really active making videos for like 2 some odd years, maybe or more. But this is a 5-year-old channel. But you know, I'm happy where this channel's at, and I'm happy where the non sequitur channel's at in only 6 months. I will never probably be, you know, a big name on YouTube like some of the other ones. I get that. I don't have aspirations for that. And there's a lot of great content creators, but I'm happy that I at least have some voice in the community, and I have a good loyal fan base that does like listening, and they do
the
like
fact
the
you
value.
get these messages proves that you have some kind of an influence. And I tell people a lot of the time, especially when they ask, you know, should I start a channel? What should I do? Da, 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 da. One of the things I say is don't focus on how big your audience gets, because a lot of the times, I mean, it's really better to have a smaller but more focused and active audience than it is to have a really big one that doesn't really, you know, they're just there for maybe superficial-ish reasons, you know.
I think the live count says it all. Look at if when we had 5,000 subs on Non Sequitur Show, we were getting 500 live count, right? When we hit 10,000 now, sometimes we'll get up to 1,000. It's usually on a small show and a couple, 2, 3, 400. But you know, G-Man has 10,000. He'll have like 20 people watching. I only have 5, or almost 6,000, and I have 140 watching. I think that's pretty decent. I mean, if you said you're going to start doing live chat or some live stuff, and I know you're going to start on a different channel, but let's say you did do it on your main channel. Out of your 300 some odd thousand subs, how much do you really think you'd get live?
My channel, I don't know. I'm not known for live streams, and I
Right.
don't normally do them, so I couldn't even hazard a guess, to be honest. It's been so long, and I do them so rarely. I don't even know.
I guarantee it would not be in the thousands.
Maybe not.
It's just from what I've seen, and I've had some experience with this. Large channels don't have a lot of live viewers percentage wise, and I don't know the reason behind it. I'm sure there's some thinking behind it, but I've seen channels that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of subs, and
a lot of it's personality based too. Like if you watch somebody, maybe not necessarily for the information or the insight or what they're presenting, but how they present it, the entertaining aspect or the personality side of who's actually giving you this info, then that might have to, that'll probably, you know, give people more of a reason to watch because they want to see it live. But if they're normally, if they normally subscribe to a channel and they do, you know, edited stuff or they read from a script, then maybe what they want is just a more well put together, condensed kind of content. That, I mean, there's people that I wouldn't watch live, but I would watch, you know, an actual video that they've put together and orchestrated.
You know, it's funny. I will be wrapping this up soon. I'm the exact same way. There's certain videos that I'd rather watch not live because I like to stop a lot and pause, and maybe rewind or go do another thing.
Yeah.
and you can't do the live chat. However, there's certain videos or certain things I like to see live. Like I'd much rather watch a Skylar video fiction thing live, watching something like some dumb fuckery shit go on. Much rather have that live, but I'll still go back and watch it after the fact.
A lot of the times
is much better for it too, like debates and stuff. Like because the beauty
better live,
yeah, because like we're debating, and then the audience is debating within the chat. Like it gives them an opportunity. Sorry, I think I interrupted you, Rex.
No, I was gonna say something along the lines of when I see people live that I'm normally subscribed to, then I won't watch them live. I'll be like, oh, okay, well, this will be up on YouTube soon, so I can watch it, after it's all been put out there. And I guess that's just how I am. I guess there's not much of an appeal to watching it happen live for me. And I wonder how many people are the same way for whatever reason. They'd rather just see the finished product at the end instead of kind of watching it as it comes out. Maybe it's because they don't like to jump in the middle of something, especially if they see that, someone's live streaming. And if I jump in, then I'm in the middle of a conversation, or I didn't catch it from the beginning. I don't know. I don't know how many people think like that.
I can tell you right now, most of my audience likes live stuff. I get most of my hits are live, real time, because one of the things that I like doing is real time conversations. I think that I excel a lot more in a real time discussion with somebody, just like Skylar.
Yeah, it's a different animal when you're talking to someone live. Yeah, than trying to put a video together.
I can't. I've made my own videos, but it's just nothing that I excel at. I'm not really great at making videos. Can I do it? Sure, but that's not what I bring to the table when I'm on YouTube.
Yeah, and remember too, though, when you say that you gain an audience based on what you've done already, so that does have something to do with it. Like if people know you for live streams, then yes, your audience that you do have will want to watch the live streams. That's what they came for.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like I said,
that's just kind of how it goes.
I try to tailor things to my audience, but then again, I always do my own thing. I mean, for example, I had a math hangout the other day. 50 people watched. It was it. But you know what?
Yeah, because math is for nerds.
Yeah, fuck math. But you know what? Those 50 people liked it and they learned something, and I was okay with that.
Why did you have a lot of dislikes on that?
Oh, because flat earthers.
What is?
You know what's funny?
I was about to say what math has to do with flat earth, and I'm like, everything.
Yeah, they all got removed. Go back, go look at the video. It's only down to 16 dislikes now. YouTube removed them because it was a bot.
They're the worst crowd. The flat earthers are some of the worst. It's just it's a crowd of trolls, basically. I'm pretty sure 75% of them don't even really believe in flat earth. It's just a fucking troll.
You think it's that high?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think there's some. I think the people who are probably making money off of it don't really believe in it.
No, that I agree with. But the ones that promote it, look at it. I think if you're a flat earther that don't actually believe it, but you're just out there trolling, you're probably even worse than the actual flat earthers.
Oh, I
agree. You're just being a fucker.
Awful.
Yeah, you're not just stupid, and you're just a fucker. So yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
But anyways, I am going to wrap this up. I do want to thank my live chat, and I want to thank my Patreons and the people that have supported the Non-Sex Show. We got a lot of stuff coming up. And Scott, like I said, props to you, dude. I'm glad that you stuck in there. I was telling you, don't give up the good fight, because I thought this was a huge opportunity to basically stand up for your rights, stand up for free speech, and you did, and I'm proud of you. So
I thank you, man. I think you were the one who told me to reach out to some of these news organizers. Either you or Kyle were telling me to reach out.
I told you to reach out. I told you to. Well, never mind. But yeah, but you know what? It wasn't just me. There was a lot of people involved. Yeah, Shannon, I think, involved. Hermit Mendon, the Friendly Atheist, and a few other people. So I mean, this was a group effort by
from Patheos. Patheos, is that the dude?
Patheos,
yeah. I emailed him too. So I emailed him in Dead State, and then Dead State wrote me back first, and that's the article we got put Reddit. And then Patheos. Well, I can only thank him because he's the guy who got Richard Dawkins to look at that article.
Yeah, man, but the big thing is you didn't give up. I know you were a little dejected and down after the thing came back saying, "Hey, look, we're sustaining this." But I was like, "Don't give up." I mean, there's still. This just goes to show there is recourse on things.
Yeah.
But it takes a village, and luckily we have some very influential people, or at least contacts. So, anyways, Rag, say what you got to say. Then Skylar, give your last word, and then I'm going to kind of
remember that you destroy your enemy if you turn him into your friend.
Ooh, sedition. I like that. All right, Skylar, what you got?
I don't know if I got something that deep.
That is deep. Yeah, I know, especially for Rags.
Yeah, I'm Skylar Fiction. Watch my videos. It's with an AR. Put it in YouTube. I would just say that I'm always looking to debate. So if you just want to come on my channel, shoot the shit and talk, debate, you don't have to be a Christian. You can come argue politics with me or something like that, or whatever you want to talk about. I mean, there's some things I'm not going to talk about on my channel, but in general, I love having conversations. Just email me, skylarfictionshow@gmail.com, or if you want me to do an interview on your channel, I enjoy doing that. So that's it. Thank you, Steve, and everybody.
You're welcome, man. The link to Skylar Fiction's channel is in the video description, so go sub to him if you're not. But I think that everybody here probably is by now. And Rags, you know what? Just because I'm not an asshole, I'm going to put your video description in the link too.
Yeah.
And people can go sub to you if they watch you for whatever reason.
That's fine. I get my internet back on Monday, so I'm almost there. Get back in the swing of things. It'll be great. Things will be swell.
I'm telling you, I'm really looking forward to having some kind of discussion with you at some point on something. I just don't know what.
Oh, we could. It'd be anything. I'm willing to have an opinion on anything.
I'll think of something. All right, good night, guys. Enjoy your 4th of July. Go light up some fireworks. Don't blow your hand off, okay?